What's up, guys? You are on the air and off the books with Beth Ann and Samantha, and today we have a special guest, Trisha.
Good morning!
She has read A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham?
Yes.
Stacy Willingham. So we all read this book, and we are going to be talking about it a little bit with you guys today. We are going to kind of be spoiling the book, so if you would like to read it before and then come back and listen to the podcast, that's fine too. If you are like that person that is like, I don't care if you spoil the book, spoil it for me, and then I'll go read it.
I can't be that person, though.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So yes, if you do not want spoilers, listen to the podcast after you read it.
It's super popular right now.
Yes.
I think all of our copies on Libby are checked out right now, and then all the copies in the library are also checked out. So we have it everywhere. It's just a holds list. So this is a good one.
Yes. Trisha, do you want to tell us about the book? Do you want to give us the summary of what it's about?
Okay. Thanks for the surprise! I really appreciate that. Honestly, though, don't know how we could even begin to discuss this book without having some spoilers.
It's kind of difficult, yeah.
That's true.
So, essentially, it showcases this girl who, when opens up before I say anything else, the prologue was my favorite part. Like, the literal first section of this book is the best part of the whole book, as far as I'm concerned. When she talks about what fear is, and how that grows in you as a child to an adult, that was fantastic. Yeah. That was what was like, for me. Like, first impressions, 10 out of 10. I did like that.
And I think this is her first book, too.
It is.
Yes.
It is a debut.
Which is great for being your first book. I would not be this skilled.
And also, if you're in reading challenges right now, and you want to read this book, and then that book says, like, read a book that has other books in it. This one has other books in it, like a Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and stuff like that. So, there's your reading challenge point. Check. Do that.
Also, debut novel is often a reading challenge.
Yes, that counts as double.
Yeah.
You know, our reading challenges always have something like that, and I scramble to try to find something.
I know.
So, but yes. So, do you want to...
So, 20 years ago, Chloe's father confessed to murdering at least 6 teenage girls.
Yes.
And so we kind of find out about that in the beginning, and then we kind of go over more in detail of just the one murder. I think they focus on the one murder more than all the other ones.
It was like his first victim, I think. Yeah.
But not really.
Yes. His first victim,
known
but
victim.
Not his first victim.
Right.
Dun dun dun.
Yes.
So she has this scarred childhood of running home to her dad every day into the safety of his arms and realizing that he isn't a safe place and that he's this crazy murderer, and how she grows up to be this psychiatrist who's unfortunately addicted to pills, and how she has to navigate this weird life that she's living right now between feeling or being normal and not feeling normal at the same time. And then, of course, something comes up and then girls are dying again.
Yeah, it's like the 20-year anniversary, and then girls start dying in the same way that they did 20 years ago.
Like a special piece of jewelry is missing, same age, like same MO type
almost,
thing.
Yes. Like same.
The whole shebang is
like.
Right.
And I think every time I read a copycat book, I'm like, okay, so every time I'm just like, okay, so the person in jail probably wasn't the killer, like the actual killer.
Yeah, I didn't think at all that possibly her father was.
Yeah.
You never once thought he was?
No, I was like,
he was?
No, he's innocent. Because, like, when they describe when they catch him, and he just like looks at, well, they say he looks at Chloe, and he says, be good. And I was like, yep, he's innocent. Homeboy is in jail for nothing.
Well, and also I think what also triggered me a little bit too is when, like, her mother drastically... There are trigger warnings in this, so if you don't want to talk about self-harm, suicide, things like that, just be a little careful. But her mother tried to kill herself, and in doing so caused permanent brain damage, so she isn't able to function completely. So she is in like a nursing home
She
situation.
is in a nursing home. She can't even communicate other
Right.
than like the tapping.
Tapping.
Right, which is crucial to the story. Spoilers.
Pay attention to the tapping.
So, I think that point, when she had done that, I think then I knew it wasn't the dad.
I suspected it wasn't the dad at that point.
Yeah, like I was like, that
He was
cements it
just
for
too.
me.
He was just too calm, too like
Collected,
nice.
willing to admit.
There was like a short 5 seconds where I was like, okay, maybe he actually was the killer and he had an accomplice.
Yeah.
And that's why he's just like so calm about it, because he's trying to like cover up
Right.
something. But also I was super suspicious of the boyfriend.
Daniel Briggs.
Fiance.
Yes.
But it was too, like, they were setting it up to be too obvious.
It was too good to be true. Okay, so I thought it was her. I completely thought that that was my first theory. Like, she's the
I
killer.
did for a second, too.
It was always an option in my head.
Right,
Yeah.
because she's, like, underhandedly doing this thing as a psychiatrist. She's not as trustworthy then. It doesn't build up trust in me. She's super, like, sketchy. She's got all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, it's got to be her.
We know from the almost very get-go that she has some sort of a drug
Addiction.
prescription pill problem.
Right. And then the
Exactly.
detective, like, cornered her and was like, hey, we know that you had this issue with stalking. And I was like,
And, like,
it's
all
her.
these pieces. And I think, did you say multiple personality or something
I
like
did.
that?
I
Yeah.
thought maybe she did.
Like,
Yeah.
And that would have been so clever to me.
Yeah, that would have been a good twist, too. But I
Yeah.
feel like there was, like, every time there was a twist, there was another twist.
It wasn't quite right. Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah, like,
quite the
they
twist
didn't
that you were
fit.
predicting, but it was.
So she ended up finding a piece of jewelry in her home to frame her fiance.
Yeah.
Not to frame. Well, somebody put it in there.
Right.
But
Right. I think, so this is my second theory, is that it was the brother because of his interaction with her at the very beginning of the book during their party, because he was so protective of her. And he's saying this, I'm used to being the man in your life.
I
kind of
never
thing.
suspected. I was like...
I was so red flagged to him. Like, how odd is that to me? That
Well, I was just like, it's her brother, and
the only
like...
have a
family member
brother?
she's got left, though. Like,
Yeah.
Your dad's in prison, your mom's pretty much.
I don't
And like they
know.
went
That
through
was
it
so
together,
sketchy to me.
so I was like, okay, they're like close.
And he had valid points about the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know him.
But it'd been a
But
whole
then
year
when it all
of a
comes together
relationship.
and you look back at like all the things that happened, you're just like, yeah, it was definitely him. Because they
Yeah.
describe how like her dad would stare at the girls, but really her dad was staring at the brother who was always around these girls.
Yes.
And was
He was keeping an eye or like
Yes.
noticing behaviors and
yes,
things like
and
that.
then this jewelry was in his closet because he found it in her brother's room under the
Well,
floorboard.
and then also, like, when she's talking about how it changed her as a person, like, the trauma changed her in such a weird way, I think, like, his reaction to all of this was, I don't know how to explain it, it just was so, like, this has got to be set up because he, like, receded in himself and he became a different person. I think it was just him becoming a killer. You know what I mean? Like, him, like, being that. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just so red flag to me that he was saying these things to her, and then he was super sketched out about the boyfriend, and, like, but I don't have a sibling, so I don't know, like, that kind of sibling
yeah.
affection or love. Does your brother, like, love you like that?
We are not like I don't know. Like I
I don't
not,
know
like-
either. That's what I'm saying. It just sounds so sketchy to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, like, they had trauma, but it was just weird. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, it sounds like something a creepy killer would say.
But there was also another twist. She had been speaking to a reporter this entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even brought that up yet.
No.
Yeah, I forgot. I was like, there's
That's true, and he
something
was,
else.
like, courting her about there being a copycat as
Yeah.
well, and, like, possibly that somebody was, like, digging up or, like, praising her dad
Right.
by killing these.
Yeah, and it
So odd.
turns out that he was the one that actually killed these girls, and her brother, well, the girls in this day,
The
like
copycat
20 years later, this reporter was the killer, and her brother was forcing him to do it. Which I guess that's one thing I didn't understand. Like, why was he having
somebody else do what he did?
Was he
Yeah,
trying to,
and what he
like,
enjoyed
reform?
doing.
Right.
Because didn't he even say that
It like he could never go back. Like
Yeah.
he had
so
to continue.
So maybe
to,
he was, like, trying to, like, do it through somebody else.
Vicariously?
living vicariously
Yes.
for somebody else.
What I don't understand with like killers and stuff like that is how they can like go dormant for so long and then come back up like it's nothing. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe there's like some psychological thing there, but like 20 years is a long time
That's like
to like suppress an urge like that, and then all
Zodiac.
of a sudden,
Zodiac killer, like, starts killing people again, even though he's probably dead. Long dead.
Please be dead. Please be dead. But that's what I'm saying is like that was kind of a little bit confusing to me. I didn't really enjoy that part of it because he kind of just entrapped this poor guy. Like,
I was literally confused until, like, when they officially revealed that her brother was the killer. Because when she, like, confronts the reporter and he's like, it's me, blah, 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 but he forced me to do it, I'm like, okay, her dad? I don't know. Who's forcing him? Like,
because he could
what's
have easily
happening?
went to the prison.
Right,
And
and
talked,
that's
because
what I
think
thought.
her fiance went and talked to her dad behind her back.
No, I thought it was Daniel that was forcing him. I had no idea.
Still thought it was.
I
the
thought it was the
boyfriend.
fiance. I was like, I have no idea what's happening.
fiance.
Big bro better come save this girl, I guess.
Didn't you want to just yell at her at that point? Like, let him finish that sentence before you pull the trigger?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
please, like.
Yeah. Ask some clarifying questions for us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think this through.
It was crazy.
It was good. It was good. I think I would give it like 3.8 to 4 out of 5.
I think I'd give it a 4.3.
Because some things were just a little like mushy, and I kind of wish it wasn't the brother, just a teeny bit.
Yeah, but it would have been too
was
easy
done in a
to
good
be
way.
anybody else.
You think?
Yeah. Like, I don't think there was anybody else that it would have been like, what?
Yeah.
If it was them. Besides, like, the main character, obviously.
Did you like the way that it had played out?
I did. I think the most surprising, unpredictable part of it was what really happened to the fiance's sister.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, because
Yeah.
he kind of hid her away,
hid her
essentially.
and then just kind of piggybacked on
But
Chloe's dad's murders to just...
Daniel's sketchy, though. Like,
I still think he's sketchy, too.
he's
like,
so sketchy. Like, you shouldn't even be with him because, well, she's not at the end, but, like...
Okay, but I was kind of bummed that they didn't stay together.
Oh, I wasn't. I was like, boyfriend lied to you, like, about this crazy thing.
But okay.
But she told him about her serial killer father, and he couldn't tell her about his sister that he had been hiding. Red
Yeah, but
flag.
that's his trauma, though.
Yeah, but...
Same thing.
But he got the idea because of her serial killer father.
So that's like, I don't know, it's
So
like
how-
obsessive,
yeah, like
weird.
He deliberately, like, pretended like he had never heard of the serial killer when she first told him. So, yeah, I do. I think he's...
Yeah.
I mean, I hope them both the fictionally best lives they can have. I certainly
That's
feel like
amazing.
We hope you're doing well.
Well, she goes to the door to give Sophie her ring back, and she's just like, I don't really want to see this guy.
Should.
Yes, I agree. She
Yes,
should. I
and
thought
I was-
that was good.
Yeah, I agree too. And she was like, I'll go get him. Like, it's no big deal. It's like, yeah,
But, like,
just grab
also,
him.
I think, like, if this was myself in this book, I would be, like, super, like, I don't think I could, like, even if he didn't do all those things, just because of, like, I suspected him of being a serial killer for that long, and, like, he was being that
Maybe that's
sketchy,
interesting.
I wouldn't be able to, like,
I would want to sit there and
continue
talk to her
dating
about
him.
it, though.
I'd be like,
Like,
gotta
spill
go.
the beans, man. Like, tell me why. Give me a reasoning. Like, let me know. Like, I mean, that's too deep for this book.
okay, they need to make, this is what needs to happen. She needs to make a second book.
No,
which
a
she
novella.
is. Yes, and continue this Daniel story, but, like, make him actually, like, crazy. Like, he's done some sketchy,
No,
like-
I just want to. it to tie up in a little bow. That's all I
Like,
like, you're like,
His sister is actually being held hostage.
and she's like giving eyes, like, come in, like, talk to Daniel. And she's
Yeah.
actually being held hostage.
Yeah.
Now that would be actually a really amazing twist.
Turns out this is like her half brother, and he's also a serial killer.
That's so gross, though.
I did suspect that for a minute.
A half
Like
brother?
that Daniel was Chloe's half brother.
What?
And
I'm
he
onto
was the
something.
killer because he kind of like inherited from his dad. So I had this scenario in
Okay,
my mind.
that would have been extremely disgusting and impressive.
I know.
I would have
And
enjoyed that. Would have been like a 10 out of 10.
And the brother, the real brother, the one
Yeah.
that we knew, he knew about it, and that's why he didn't want those two to be together because of that.
That was okay. That is good.
A
You need to write a book. Okay, that would have been like, that would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy.
But that was a scenario that went through my head.
I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. How disturbing and like unsettling and like that is like good stuff right there. Okay.
I feel like my
that.
theory changed at least 25 times.
Oh, yes.
Like in every chapter, I was like,
I don't know.
no,
I
this
was
is
pretty
what's
firm
happening.
on the fact that she was going to be like, yeah, it was me, or like, oh my god, it was me.
But I notice like the tiniest like little things, and I like take it like to like a whole nother level, and I'm like, this is what this means.
It I don't know. Ever since I read the book 3, where the guy okay, I can't tell you that because that's a spoiler. But this is spoilers if you want to read this book. Don't be mad at me. But the guy is the killer, and he's like running himself from the police. But he has multiple personalities, and he's like talking as the reporter that he's with.
What book is this
And,
that
like,
we shouldn't read?
3,
So he's like all the characters in the book are his different personalities.
most of them.
Whoa.
And he's the one who caused this like catastrophic event and murdered these people.
That
But he
reminds
doesn't
me.
even realize, and it's revealed to him, and he's so like shocked and distraught all at the same time because he's just like, I did this, and like he runs himself in this wild goose chase thinking he's with like this cop and reporter that's trying to save him or protect him from this stalker, but the stalker like is himself, who like it's so like twisted and complicated. It was really good, but that's kind of what it felt like to me. Like she's making up these scenarios in her head, and like
It's kind of
she's
like the
placing
silent
blame.
patient, where the spoiler,
Oh,
where the
more
main
spoilers.
character is like the killer the entire time.
Yeah, that.
I did not see that coming.
I think you spoiled that book for me. Like you told me all
We
about
already
it.
reviewed Silent
we?
Patient. Yes,
Did
it was
we
our
talk
our
about
buddy
it?
read. Lori Hugley gave it to me.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
right. And then
Yeah.
that I read Pest Control, and I'm still not finished with that book. Sorry, Doug. I will finish it.
3
Maybe
years
not this
later.
year.
She's still reading a book that she was
It's
reading
really
2 years
good.
ago.
No, I am. I will finish it. It's just so much information about bugs. And, like, there are whole chapters about the scientific names of bugs and, like, what they do in colonies and such that I can't get through it. But it's funny in certain parts. Like, one of the assassins in the book is, like, obscenely depressed. Like, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it. He's very, like, sad about what he does, but he does it for money. I don't know. It's a good book. It's a
Money,
good
guys,
book.
money.
And it's a Broadway musical, if you're interested.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm interested. Sorry, Doug.
No. Me either.
I'm getting into comedy again, like a comedy fantasy type situation. And I'm really
Yeah, I
enjoying that, so
can't.
maybe I'll pick it back up and, like, appreciate it even more.
I feel like the only thing I read is like dark stuff. Maybe I need to read comedy.
I fell into this through T. Kingfisher, who is literally amazing. Okay, she's like almost my favorite author right now. Like almost like
What's her name?
T. Kingfisher. It's
I
her
don't think
pen
that
name.
you would like.
Okay,
She's
she
like
writes
fantasy,
horror.
right? Fantasy
She writes
horror.
horror, and then she also writes fantasy. All of her horror books that I've read so far have been absolutely mind-blowingly fantastic. She wrote The Hollow Places. She wrote What Moves the Dead. She wrote The Twisted Ones. You would not like The Twisted Ones, but you would like The Hollow Places, I think.
Okay.
You just need to read
But
a
it is
fantasy
horror.
book because this is why. I'll tell you why you need to read a fantasy book. because I
Your
was
fantasy or my fantasy?
both. I was hating on everybody that read fantasy, and I was like, no, I would never read that. Never. And now that is all I read, besides like crime. All I read is fantasy. I'm on this fantasy journey that will never
It used
end.
to be
You
my
still
favorite.
haven't given me a good reason to read a fantasy book other than you
Okay.
like it.
That's a good enough reason.
That's amazing. I think that the reason I like it so much is the world building, the unique characters. It's like endless what you can do with things and people because you're not like boxed in with the real world. So that's why I enjoy it, because it really is like a trip somewhere else.
You like romance, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
She reads some crazy stuff, like some crazy like dark like. It's like
Yeah.
a fighting, but like steamy hot, blah blah blah, and then it's got like world like she's like got the whole package. I just want to have a good time and not hear about your business.
You need to read A Court of
No,
Thorns
you
and
don't.
Roses.
Don't do it.
I've heard you say
Don't do
that
it.
a million times.
Okay, since I've said it a million times, it's obviously
Is
a great
it fantasy?
suggestion. Fantasy romance.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's a challenge. I am giving you a challenge.
It's so embarrassingly.
But Bethany gets embarrassed easily, so you can't take it
Yeah.
off that.
All right. Then
What
I
is
get
that
a
book I
challenge
read
you to
that
read a book.
excerpt out of?
Oh,
And
that
I
was
couldn't
the
even read it
last.
out loud.
That was the last book. That one's pretty raunchy. The first two books are like pretty tame.
I don't believe you.
Like it's just
Raunchy
normal,
is
like any
normal.
other normal like romance, like explicit content.
You wouldn't like any of T. Kingfisher's fantasy. I love it. It's actually based off of D&D, which I was very surprised about, but it's not like that. It sounds nerdier than it is. It's not that bad. It's just she takes the world and like builds characters and things out of it, which I really enjoy. But you would like her horror more than you would like her fantasy.
Okay.
I got 3 people to read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and they all loved it. So I have high hopes that you will too.
I'll check back with you. Let me know.
No. We're going to have you back so that you can tell us
Yes.
what you actually think about it. But yes, you guys have to check out, what's the
A
author's
Flicker
name?
in the Dark
A Flicker
by
in the Dark.
Stacy Willingham.
You have to check out T. Kingfisher. You have to check out, who writes? The Court of Thorns?
Sarah J. Maas.
Sarah J.
Yeah.
And then you have to, who else did we say? I think that was it.
Yeah, but like if you like stuff like A Flicker in the Dark, Josie Quinn series that we read,
That's very similar.
Robert Brenza, 9 Elms,
A lot of the other things that we've read
crime wise is
go very close to this. And this is one of the better ones that we've read, I think.
this is almost like on 9 Elms level, I think.
Yes.
I liked 9 Elms better than this one.
I did too because it was more
That
gory.
one's a thicker book. It's got more details.
Disturbing,
a little bit
I
more.
think.
It is more disturbing, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yes. So you guys can join us next week. What we're reading Fly Girl next time. It's our Howard
Henry's
Henry's
top book.
Yes. So we will be reading and reviewing Fly Girl, which we're really excited about, and she's gonna be. Well, Trisha can tell us more about that. She's gonna be.
So that
At the
is
library.
author Cherie L. Smith, and she will actually be here doing an author presentation for the public on October 25th at IUK Kresge. You have to have a ticket to the event, but the tickets are free. And those become available on September. Somebody interrupt me for a minute so I can clarify this.
So T.
Elevator
Kingfisher.
music.
September 26th. Didn't take me as long. I was pretty sure it's September 26th is when we will have tickets available at all locations.
You don't want to
Yes.
miss it.
You don't want to miss it.
I'm
Yes.
excited.
Same. So you guys can join us not next week, but the next week.
In 2 weeks.
Yes,
In
2
2
weeks for our well, we're talking about that. Are we gonna have her on the podcast?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not gonna.
that's to be determined. Maybe, maybe not. We'll surprise you guys with that.
Surprise.
Yes. Thank you, Trisha, for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, and we hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.